The fact that we have people saying empathy is for suckers, that caring about the common public good is a weakness, that you should just be shameless in your ability to harm somebody else and be proud that you're in a Darwinian struggle for the survival of the fittest. These are not the values that I admire or like, but most of all, they're not the values that's going to ensure the endurance of humanity.
Hope you enjoy a preview of this full episode published exclusively as a bonus for our incredible online neuro-nerd community. This group is the backbone that keeps this podcast thriving, and you can find out more at therapistuncensored.com/join.
Hey, you guys. While we know relationships are wonderful, they are also really hard. Many of us believe that they shouldn't be, that if we have good connection and good communication, things will just go smoothly. But it's really that belief that can make us feel stubborn and even more hopeless. So relationships take work. It does for Sue and I. We can make it look easy. It's not. And one of the ways is because many of us, we differ. We differ in what activates us, what makes us feel threat, the expectation, and it's these differences that are held in our body, not our thoughts. And they influence how we talk, how we love, how we fight. So holding that belief, if he or she or they could just understand me, if they love me, they do something different, is not really true. And we're talking about relationships with your partner, your teenager, your mother-in-law. So Sue and I have created an online course that can help you understand yourself and those you love in a different way. This is not just for therapists, it's for everyone. Although the good news is if you're a therapist, you can get CEs along the way, and all of you can use the visuals and the worksheets individually, or you can even use them in your own private practice. So while the course is based on our book, Secure Relating, Holding Your Own in an Insecure World, it is definitely not a replication of the book. We talk directly to you. You learn how to understand more deeply your attachment, those you love, the neuroscience behind it, and how to build secure types of connections right now in your everyday relationships. Rather than changing one another, y'all can shift together in very important ways. It's very powerful. We're getting great reviews. Check it out. It's at therapistuncensored.com/BAS. Therapistuncensored.com/BAS. The BAS stands for Beyond Attachment Styles, the Science of Growing Secure Adult Relationships. And by the way, the cost of the course is about the amount of one individual therapy session, and yet you get hours and hours and hours of what we think is extremely valuable information. So check it out.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to Therapist Uncensored. I could not be more excited to bring back one of my personal favorite guests from our years of being on air. I bring you Loretta Ross.
Thanks for having me.
There's so much that has happened since we last sat down. It was several years ago. That one was called Calling in the Call Out Culture. And I know you have continued to develop your ideas about that. At that time, you were working on a book. And I think that we've seen a lot of progress. And then a lot has happened nationally since then that makes this conversation so important to refresh. Before we get started, would you share a little bit about how you describe yourself?
Well, as most people born in Texas, we start with that because that's very important to our identity. I was born in Temple, Texas. Black woman, grandmother, great grandmother, and avid pinochle player. My dad taught me how to play pinochle, and now I compete in tournaments across the country when I have time.
Really? I didn't even know that there were pinochle tournaments.
Do you play?
No, I don't, unfortunately.
Okay, yeah. It's kind of like a bridge addiction, but pinochle uses twice as many cards, so we consider it
Oh.
the highest form of card playing. But, we're a little biased.
Well, I like that. There's a little competition in there too. Well, let's just get started with, what has happened since we last spoke? What's happening with your book? I have a million questions, but yeah, what's just the general catch up about where you are today?
Well, the book, Calling In How to Start Making Change with Those You'd Rather Cancel, came out in February of 2025. And I'm pleased to see that it's selling very well. And even though I did a book tour in February, I'm still doing book engagements. I just came from Los Angeles a couple of days ago, and I'm heading to San Francisco in a couple of days. And so it's been really good to see how people are personally relating to the book, that I get a lot of praise for it. And I also had a couple of critics about it, but that's fine because they gave me good feedback. But it took me 10 years to finally decide what I wanted to say and get it published. And so it feels very good. This is my fourth book. The other three I co wrote with other people. And so this was my first standalone. And so I was nervous. I described releasing a book to the public like walking down the street naked and inviting people to comment on your body. You feel just that vulnerable, and yet you can't take anything back because it's already out there now. And so in my head, I've already started writing the sequel.
This is actually a year anniversary from us releasing our first book. So I totally know what you mean about walking down the street naked. Our publisher, it was HarperCollins, kept saying, pens down, pens down. And I was like, no, no. I just couldn't stop editing for that exact reason, because now it's permanently in print. And so your book has already had some success. In your experience, what are people drawn to? Like, what's refreshing, or what's the excitement?
Well, I think the timing of the book makes people want to pay attention because of the social trauma we're all undergoing because of the presidential administration and the destruction of so many things, and just the hate and the bitterness that seems to be popular political currency right now. So people are looking for a pathway beyond that. They don't want to constantly showcase the worst of themselves. And the young people are talking about something they call FAFO. You effed around and found out. And however tempting that is, this isn't the moment we can self indulge, because we have to figure out how to call in the very people that we didn't think we could have constructive conversations with. Many times they're in our families, they're amongst our friends or our colleagues at work. These are not the people who think of themselves as bullies or mean people, but they voted for them. And yet I think there's space to call them in.
Mhm. Well, as somebody that's been working in social justice for your life, pretty much a very long time, how are you personally holding up right now?
Well, I'm a true believer in the moral arc of the universe. And my logical brain tells me that those who are opposed to human rights think that they're fighting us. But I actually think they're wrong. We're fighting them, but I don't think they're fighting us. I think they're fighting some existential forces that they can't defeat because they're fighting truth, they're fighting evidence, they're fighting history, as if we can just forget that the 20th century even happened. But most of all, they're fighting time. I think they're demographically and politically doomed because I don't think they can defeat truth, time, evidence, and history. Even if we did everything wrong, we'd still hold a winning hand. And so that's what keeps me buoyant and joyful and hopeful, even as I have to withstand some pretty severe and alarming attacks. Anybody in higher education feels under siege right now because I teach a course that talks about fascism. I've been featured on Fox News. So, of course, that kind of painted a big target on my forehead. And yet, I'm not dissuaded. I take a lot of comfort in the fact that, as they say in the civil rights movement, don't imagine that you're the entire chain of freedom, because the chain of freedom stretches back towards your ancestors and forward towards your descendants. And all you have to do is ensure that the chain doesn't break at your link. So I'm focused on my link, and I'm making sure that I see it as a place of possibilities, not a place of despair.
Well, I think that that was one of the things that made my first conversation with you so popular was that being able to name these things and be hopeful and be in the middle of the fight, that idea of the just you have to manage your own chain, just your own link is just relieving, but also it holds us accountable. I'm curious on like the Fox News when you are out there like that, how do those go? And what about you said that you it paints a target on you? Like I can't believe that you were even invited on Fox News.
Well, no, I wasn't invited on Fox News. They contacted me to interview me, which I refused because what I've learned about right wing news media is that no matter what you say, they distort it for their own narratives, for their own agendas. So I didn't bother to do an interview. And so they just did a story on the fact that the course I teach is called White Supremacy in the Age of Trump, which I've been teaching for 6, 7 years, well, since 2017, because I believe that his agenda is to, if not out and out destroy democracy, to deform it to such an extent that he and his cronies will practice their corruption without accountability. And everything he's done confirms that in me. And so they wanted to, I think, just tell me that they knew about me. And so that was what the story is about. And then they even got the facts wrong because it was Fox News. So,
Well, and I love also the way that you talk about that they're not fighting us. And there were some trans activists that talked about, because they're being so specifically targeted. And I really like this idea that everybody's in the closet about something and that the freedom and the joy that these beautiful humans that don't fit into the box that they want to be relegated to is very threatening to folks that keep themselves in the box and don't look at themselves and don't let themselves be the full person that they want to be. And it was just such a wonderful reframe from, kind of what you hear out there on the news.
yeah, I like the fact that the pressure is forcing people to collaborate better together. My community has grown closer together. My campus has grown closer together, where historically we probably would have let a lot of minor things fracture us. But if we keep our eyes on the prize, we really can discover new relationships and new ways of being together. And I'm really pleased that that's happened concomitant with this social trauma, I keep calling it, that we're all experiencing.
Thanks for listening to this preview of bonus content. If you would like to continue with the episode or to support free worldwide access to important material like this, you can join our online community for as little as $5 a month at therapistuncensored.com/join. Thanks.